Edgar Cayce was fabulous for that in the material that he had laid out in discovering your soul's purpose while you're here. But then you have beliefs like, well, your purpose is whatever God wants you to be, whatever. But people, so they'll let go of their own personal beliefs and they'll say, well, whatever I'm meant to be, I'm meant to be. And so that's another reason. So it's not a matter of a lack of awareness. It's a matter of lack of faith, a lack of trust, because trust and fear, I mean, most people don't trust themselves, even if they do come up with an idea of, oh, I think I really want to do this, but I don't know, there were so many other things I tried and I failed at, so I'm not going to try this either. So instead of you keep trying, you'll find it, you really will. And maybe you have made mistakes before, you don't give up on that. That's the one thing. That's like turning around and saying, well, I'm waking up today, but I don't want to breathe anymore.
Hi, my name is Senka Caro. I'm founder of LightNet, and my passion and purpose is to make the impossible possible. I am here today with an absolutely incredible guest, Vincent Genna. He is a world-renowned speaker and author, and he's also a psychic medium. And he really looks strategically at the fundamental logic that runs our society. And he helps people unlock and release their passion and their purpose through his books, through his talks on Gaia, Good Morning America, Coast to Coast, you name it. His humor and his brilliance is unparalleled. His book, The Secret Holding You Back, talks about one of his fundamental core beliefs, which is that if you don't believe in yourself, your soul might not even whisper your purpose until you're truly ready. He is a wealth of knowledge. Check out this interview. And if you haven't signed up for your team, your 8 to 12 person team for the Purpose Lab, we close the doors this week. So jump in at ourlightnet.org/purpose.
What I discovered my purpose and passion to be in this life it's funny that you ask it like that, because my purpose and passion is to help others find their purpose and passion. So, but it does have a starting place, and the starting place is with belief of self. When I was growing up, I was completely tormented as a child. I was abused all the time, whether it be emotionally, physically, even sexually. I had all of that was going against me, so it tore away my own self-belief. Well, when I had my spiritual awakening, all that came to me is, what am I supposed to do with this? What do I want to do with this? And the only thing that kept coming is, what hurt me the most is I had no self-belief, because it was torn away. And so I decided that, okay, that's what I'm meant to do with all my tools, the psychic ability, the mediumship ability, the psychology ability, the spiritual understanding and the knowing, all directed itself to helping people believe in themselves first. Because then I knew that that was the foundation to open up the pathway and the doorway to their passion and purpose. If a person doesn't believe in themselves, if they don't think they're good enough or deserving enough or worthy enough, why would their unconscious mind, their soul's mind, ever reveal to them what they are meant to do? Because it would be more painful to know what your dream is and not have the courage or the belief to go after it. So it's actually a defense mechanism for a lot of people. When I think back to the moment that I was set on this pathway, I thought I had an idea of what I wanted to do. But I realized that it was more about trying to prove something to myself than it was a real passion. There's difference there. I think a lot of people get confused and misinterpret what they came in with as to what they're meant to do with it. You know, we all come in with some kind of skill, ability that will help work the passion and the purpose. Okay? I have to say, I was a gifted singer and actor as a little kid. All right. I had, I'm an Italian, Sicilian based. We have big voices, And so I was able to sing, and I put that to great use during the times that I was being tormented, right? I would perform, and that applause kept me going, right? And so I was interpreting that as, well, it must mean that that's what I was supposed to pursue, rather than realizing that it was just a resilience I had, and it was to lead me in a higher direction. So I was pretty intent on pursuing a professional acting career. And when I kept receiving messages I would only get so far with it and no more, yet everybody kept telling me, you should be this, you should be that, you should be starring on TV, you should be all of this stuff. And I wasn't all of that stuff that they were professing, nor did I even have the tenacity to pursue it the way I was supposed to pursue it. I had passion, but it was more about emotional need than it was about heartfelt passion. So it wasn't until this all began to transpire and I was being told, or I was feeling from within, you really can help some people with what you've been through and what you know now. And it's like, well, wait a minute now. I wonder if that's the reason why I had all those earlier gifts, is because I can still use those to help people today and to really reach them and touch their souls. So that was a moment of a real aha for me, because I was really resistant. I am an arrogant person at times, not all the time, okay? But I can be really tough and dig my heels in. No, I wanted to be an actor. No, I wanted to get an Emmy, a Tony, an Oscar. That's who I was, and that's how good I am. But it didn't amount to anything. And it didn't amount to my own growth and evolvement. And then that's when it hit me. And you have to step into your own aha moments, which is really interesting. They happen around you constantly. 24/7, you get aha moments. You get messages from everywhere. But if you don't listen to it, if you don't take the time and stand back and go, maybe this isn't who I thought I was, then you get the aha moment in that time. When you feel the most vulnerable, when you are asking, who am I really? My greatest students that learn from me are the ones who say, I don't know who I am. And I turn around and I say, not yet. Of course you know who you are. That's why you came here. But not yet. But because you said that, you have more of a chance of finding your passion and purpose than not. So it wasn't until I said, I don't know who I really am or what I'm really supposed to do, that it was then revealed to me. Then my unconscious mind was able to say, hey, he's got a chance here. My soul was able to say, let's start revealing it to him. Let's see what he says. And even though I was resistant as this was happening, and I was doing some helping, it's not full time yet, then finally I just gave in and went, yeah, all right, this is what I meant to do. Look at how easy this is. Look at the path I'm on. We always make a blueprint for ourselves. And I always tell people, the way you truly find if you're on the right path, if things lay out before you easier than the struggle you're having finding them. So, when that is just, when the universe starts guiding to you opportunities, starts placing before you better directions, and even people, the universe will put people in your life that will turn you this way instead of this way, and as long as you go along with it, and it seems so much easier, then you know you're getting on your path. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't create a new path once you're here. You can create a new path, it's just going to be a lot harder, and some people don't take the time to go all the way with that new path. But every builder starts with the blueprint. Every soul starts with the blueprint when we come in here. So it's just a matter of letting go of that side of you that thinks you know who you are to find out who you really are. And even if you don't know who you are, again, by being able to say, I'm at rock bottom, I need to know who I am. Sometimes we need to be brought to rock bottom to let go of some of those behaviors and habits and stuff. You have more of a chance of finding out who you really are and what your path is. I was at rock bottom. What happened to me that allowed me to realize that I needed to wake up to something that was going to help me find my real path and direction is, again, here I thought I knew who I was. And I was only going so far and no more with my life, with my career. And I opened up. I have the ability, and I will say that it is a confidence. The confidence to be able to admit you don't have the answer. Okay? So I turn to God a lot. And I'll call it God, I don't mind, right? Spirit, source, Yahweh, Elohim, whatever anybody refers to as this higher entity, right? And I turned to God, I said, listen, you need to help me here. I'm not getting what I think I'm supposed to be getting here. So you have to let me know what I need to do. What I need to do. Greatest story occurred. A friend of mine was deciding to become a life coach. And she said, I need some students to help me. Now, at that time, I had already gotten my psychotherapy degree. So I knew exactly what it was about life coaching. And I said, well, you do know that I'm not like a blank slate. And she said, no, I know, but I need just the credit hours. Can you help me out? And I said, oh, sure, absolutely. I'll help you out. And each week we would meet and she would tell me these interesting things. Oh, wow, that's so good. Yeah, that's great. Wonderful. Oh, I'm going to try that, right? And then one day she turns around and she says, you know what I just discovered about you? I said, what? She said, you don't believe in yourself. I said, what are you talking about? Of course I believe in myself. I wouldn't have come this far if I didn't. No. You don't really believe in yourself. You faked it all along. I said, how can you say that? And she kept repeating back to me some words that I said to her. And in listening to them, I was like, I said that? And she said, yes, you did. I said, seriously? I said, wow. I don't believe in myself. Honey, I don't believe in myself. And she said, I could have told you that. What? What do you mean? I always thought I believed in myself. I walked around with an air of confidence. Everybody always pointed that out. Well, that was the performer in me, right? I was always on stage in some way or another, needing to always impress somebody that I knew what I was doing. I knew what I was talking about, right? Always with the positive intention, though. Always with the positive intention. And she turns around and knocked me for a loop, rocked my world, to turn around and say that I didn't believe in myself. And when I examined that, I realized how much I didn't believe in myself. I realized that, wow, that's really harsh for me to have come this far in my life. And when little Vinny had already been through so much, that I didn't believe in him. And that hurt. And that's what made me realize that's why I even wrote the book that I wrote and did the work that I did, because it made me understand that that belief or disbelief was hidden from me and protected. And the reason why it was protected was because it was so hurtful to recognize. It's not easy to believe you don't believe in yourself. It's not easy to hear you don't think you're good enough, or that you're worthy enough, or that you're deserving enough to achieve your dreams, to achieve your purpose. And that's what made me realize that's why that's all hidden. Because we couldn't function on a daily basis walking around with those. And we know that there's people who do, that walk around with that. And so to come to an understanding that I didn't believe in myself, that's turned everything around for me. Everything around for me. And as hard as it was to recognize that, it was the greatest gift. Besides receiving these other gifts, that was my greatest gift, is being able to say, Vincent, you don't believe in yourself enough, so now you have to work on that. And that's what I did from that point on. That's why I want to help other people do the same thing. Everybody asks me how I began to believe in myself. And it seems like such a simple answer. Well, you just believe in yourself. And in actuality, that's what you really do. You just believe in yourself. But that's easier said than done. The process is always easy. It's the practice that's difficult, because you've got to remember the scars are there. They're ingrained inside of you. Every injury causes a scar. So even when you're trying to believe in yourself, as I've been doing now for many years in doing this work, and definitely working on that, right? But every so often, little Vinny wants to pop his head up. He wants to turn around and still say, I'm not good enough. I have to keep giving him the evidence that I am good, that I am believing enough and worthy and good enough and deserving enough. And the evidence is clear, and most people have more evidence and reasons to believe in themselves than not. We've come so far. We've done so much. And unless you happen to be one of those people that are out there and harming somebody else, yes, they definitely have it. That's what it looks like to totally disbelieve in yourself and not go in that positive direction. But when you go in the positive direction and say, okay, I need to do this. I need to do this for myself. Everybody says that we are worth something. Just look at the information. Look at where we come from. That's a start, right? Okay. How can I be meaningless? I have to be worth something. I come from something greater than this. So you have to start with a belief. A belief. Beliefs are very empowering or disempowering, obviously. So you have to start with a positive belief. And even if it's something small, a snippet, something you heard that sounds good to you, all the truth is inside of us, and it begins to resonate, and it comes to the surface when you start really listening and keeping your ears open. So listen, keep your ears open, go and hear, and eventually what will happen is something inside of you will say, yes, yeah, you are worth something more than that. You are bigger than. You're more than. And so you start with small steps, and you keep reminding yourself, okay, I did come this far. All right, I made some mistakes. All right, okay, that's okay. But look at where I am now. Look at how much you've done. Like I say now, I have to continuously say, look at how many people I'm helping. Look at where my heart is and where my intention is. It's good. I don't want to hurt people. I want to help people. And so those are pieces of evidence to constantly reinforce why you should believe in yourself. You have more reason to believe than disbelieve. And it's the belief in yourself that just opens up the bud and allows the flower, right, to come out, right? These beautiful flowers, something has to cause them. It has to push the flower out, the water, the nutrients, everything like that. We're getting fed, feed yourself nutrients, spiritual food. And eventually that flower will open and your entire purpose will start to be. Now, it's not going to be as easy where you're going to wake up one morning and you have all detailed out what you're meant to do for the rest of your life. The next day, the day after that, or there it is. Oh, yeah, okay, I got that. Oh, this is easy. Thank you so much. This was easier than I thought. No, it's not going to happen that way. But there will be a feeling that you will be drawn to things. I get people telling me that all the time. I'm drawn to this event. Oh, why do you think you've been drawn to that event? I don't know. I just have this interest. I love the way that they're speaking to each other and helping each other. Well, there you go. If you love that so much, what do you think that's telling you? And then look at the skill. What interests do you have otherwise? What talents did you come in? All right, so I'm an entertainer. I use that in helping people believe in themselves. It was said in a very famous movie, a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Well, the type of medicine we need today needs a gallon of honey. So I do as much as I can to make people laugh, to make them enjoy, and then serve them the deep stuff, right? And it can be intense, but people are ready for it. They thank me for it because they recognize it. And that's what's so thrilling, is that they're recognizing, wait, if he can find that, I can find that. We are each other's examples. That's why we're here together. to not just do it all alone. You're never doing it alone. We've got the external influences and we've got the internal influence. And all you have to do is just open up your mind and your heart to it, and then you get it, including the beliefs, no matter where you are, even in the gutter. How many people do we know in history came from the gutter, no belief in themselves, and accomplished some of the greatest things of life, right? You know, the unfortunate thing is that most people in life have not found their passion and their purpose, and there is a major reason for that. It's because the self-disbelief has been perpetuated from generation to generation to generation. It has nothing to do with we're not ready, we're over ready. But if you wind up feeling fear yourself about yourself and you're not pursuing your own dreams, right? And you don't believe you're good enough. Now all of a sudden you decide to have a family. Well, that doesn't go away within you just because you wind up getting pregnant. Some way, somehow, that lack of self-belief gets passed down. Environmentally, it gets passed down. There is so much stress going on in the world today. It's very difficult for people to believe that they have a means to achieve a dream, to achieve, all their. I'm not going to find my purpose. What difference does it make? Look at what's going on in the world today, and nothing. I'm not going to find it. It's impossible. Or only they find it. They have the special gifts. So we're not being nurtured into believing in ourselves from the very beginning. I wasn't supposed to be doing this as an adult, believing in myself. It was supposed to happen for me as a child. I was supposed to be taught that I was unlimited, that I was capable of achieving all that I want, that I was able to pursue my dreams. And the small amount of people that have pursued their dreams and knew what they were, they usually knew them from the very beginning because they were nurtured into believing that. And it's not that it's a parental fault, it's a societal fault. It's because what happens in one cluster of people gets spread out with everybody else. And it even gets spread out unconsciously because we are all connected together. So if you've got this whole group of people, we don't believe in ourselves, have no idea what our dream, our purpose is, it's going to affect this group of people, that's going to affect this group of people. You cannot disengage energy from itself and from its core connection. We're all connected together. However, what you can do is change that core connection by your own pursuit. Now, the difference is there were those who have achieved their dreams, and there are many books written by them to be able to do it, right? And they're out in the world. But nobody is really nurturing the next person into doing that. They'll say, here, just buy my book, just do the work in it, you're fine. Rather than, let me show you. Here, you have a problem, call me up. Let me connect with you. You are so worth going after your dream. I can help you with that if you need any help. There is no mentoring, not enough mentoring. We need to help mentor others into believing themselves, finding their passion, finding their purpose. I even have my own course that I teach. Edgar Cayce was fabulous for that in the material that he had laid out in discovering your soul's purpose while you're here. But then you have beliefs like, well, your purpose is whatever God wants you to be, whatever. But people, so they'll let go of their own personal beliefs and they'll say, well, whatever I'm meant to be, I'm meant to be. And so that's another reason. So it's not a matter of a lack of awareness. It's a matter of lack of faith, a lack of trust, because trust and fear, most people don't trust themselves, even if they do come up with an idea of, oh, I think I really want to do this, but I don't know, there were so many other things I tried and I failed at, so I'm not going to try this either. So instead of you keep trying, you'll find it, you really will. And maybe you have made mistakes before, you don't give up on that. That's the one thing. That's like turning around and saying, well, I'm waking up today, but I don't want to breathe anymore. And I'm going to stop breathing. And actually, you can do that. And a lot of people have done that and have left, right? But the point is that we're perpetuating an old habit. And it's a habit now. It's become a habit not to believe in ourselves. It's become a habit to just float in life and say, well, whatever will be, will be. You know, it's really interesting. I loved Doris Day. And she came out with one of the most famous songs. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. Horrible song. Absolutely horrible, because it gave away power. It gave away your desire. It's not about whatever will be, will be. Life does not happen to us. We happen to life. We make life happen, right? But when you have, and you keep perpetuating those kinds of beliefs, right? Even in my own work with the Serenity Prayer, the Serenity Prayer gives away your power. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference between the two. That is so terrible to be thinking in this day and age that we can't change everything. Yes, we can. So, of course, I turned it around. I made my own prayer. I called it the Empowerment Prayer. You know, God grant me the conviction to believe there is nothing I cannot change, the courage to change all I want, and the wisdom to know what's best left the way it is. We are unlimited beings. We are capable of changing even our past, and it's been scientifically proven and shown. And you'll see more of that research come to the surface in the future years. But there are things we shouldn't change. We should leave the past the way it has been, but then use it and grow from it. Don't want a different past, because that doesn't make your future any better, not with what you came in with. Remember, we came in with a passion and purpose. We're not making one up. I tried to make one up. I thought that's what I was meant to do because I needed to think that. It wasn't because my heart was telling me that. It was because my left brain thinking was telling me that. There is a difference. The way I transitioned from being a full-time actor to being a full-time psychic therapist and medium and spiritual teacher is it came at that aha moment when I started believing in myself. I was doing some part-time work in it, okay? But it wasn't full-time. And so I still had that desire also, as I said, I want to perform, right? But when I kept hitting the dead ends, and that when I turned around and I said, okay, I'm not meant to do this, and then I got that, I'm supposed to believe in myself more. All of a sudden, things started opening up for me. And I was realizing, wait, I really want to get into doing this more full-time rather than just part-time. And things happened. There were circumstances that happened that led me directly into this occurring full-time. So it was presented before me more as soon as I said that, okay, I'm going to start believing in myself. I want to truly know what my passion and my purpose is. And then, bam, right in front of me came the passion and purpose. But I worked up to that, to get to it, truly get to that level. This is what I'm supposed to be doing with people, and I don't need to be doing this. But it was hard pressed in the beginning. I really have to admit that. It was just, I so desperately thought that I wanted, and that's how you know. That's how you know you're grasping onto the wrong passion and purpose, when you so desperately don't want to let it go. Desperation has nothing to do with ease and flow. It has nothing to do with the God source. It has nothing to do with our energy. All energy flows. Hey, you know, when you have a short circuit, that's when the energy doesn't flow anymore. Something's cutting it off and it's going to go in different directions haphazardly, right? But when you release, and that to me is what surrendering really means, is surrendering your desperations and the need to, and always go for the want to and the whatever I'm meant to have to. And there's nothing wrong with wanting. But when you're desperate and you want, I don't know. You know, that just lets me know something is displaced there that can't. That's a negative. Desperation is a negative word. has a negative connotation, it has a negative energy. Nothing from your highest source can be negative. So therefore, it's displaced, it's not meant to be. You let go of it. And when you let go of it, that's when you have a chance to be shown, ah, this is what you're meant to be. And I promise you this, it's so much greater than what you thought it was meant to be. You know, could I have been on Broadway had I pursued it, wholeheartedly, not worried about a family or anything like that? Yes, I could have been on Broadway. And then that's what I would have had. And for some people, that is absolutely wonderful. For me, my passion and purpose, like we've said, I want to help people. So I need to be more than just a Broadway actor to be able to do that. And so I got what I needed to fulfill what my true passion and purpose was, because this is Zooming. That wasn't. So I know I'm on the right track. The biggest obstacle I had to face in living my purpose was me. Me. Vincent. I'm my only obstacle. And you're your only obstacle. Nothing else comes in your way and gets in your way of your dreams, your purpose, your passions, except you and your disbeliefs. Even if somebody has tried to convince you early on, you're not good enough for that. You're not meant to do that. I had my mother turn around and say to me, nothing good comes from the Gennas. Now, I could have continued to believe that. That would have been my choice. In the beginning, it was getting in my way, yes. So I was my own obstacle because I was buying in to somebody else's definition of who I was. Not my own, somebody else's definition. Not a divine source's definition, somebody else's. And it's not until we decide to define ourselves that we can step out of that ball and chain. So it's ourselves that get in our way, and it's ourselves that get us out of the way and can get us zooming to start with. And then you have all the power around you that's going to help you with the rest of the way. What effect have I had on other people? And I'm asked that question. I always, any effect is meaningful to me. Any, at all. One person, that's all it takes. It's written in the Bible and interpreted as one man can save a nation, meaning humankind. One person. It just takes one person to believe in you. One person. I had one person believe in me. It's always hard for me. I always get choked up when I'm talking about this because it's so touching to touch another human soul. I know I've touched lives. When people come up to me and say, you made me feel so good about myself. You made me feel God. You made me feel my own light. You changed my life completely. Oh my gosh. That's why we were given ego, is so that we can enjoy the good work that we've done. And that is so meaningful to me that I can change another person's life, especially today. Impacting people is more important to us than we know. Otherwise, we wouldn't be acting the way we're acting. We want to be seen. Now, this is psychological understanding. Every human wants to be seen, heard, and valued. We want to leave here, know we meant something. I can leave saying that I know I meant something. So that's what lets me know the most that I am on my pursuit of passion and purpose. What would it be like if the majority of the world were on their path and purpose and pursuing all their passions? We don't even need the majority of the world to do that. We only need a critical mass of the world to do that, which is the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Not everybody has to be perfect. That wasn't the plan here. But if enough know, that enough could spread like wildfire. If enough here can turn around and say and be able to know what their passion and purpose is, they would feel their value, they would feel their worth, they would be treating each other differently, they would be helping each other more, and that then there will be the come-alongs, I call them, the come-alongs. It's the stragglers that may have been left behind. Every single spiritual leader on this planet, right? They did their talking, and yes, they gathered. There were people that were gathering to listen to them. But then others were in the background, and they were going, wait, I love what he's saying. And look at those people. They look so happy. And they want to follow. What is he doing? What is he knowing? So we don't have to leave here all knowing what our passion and purposes were, but knowing that we're more than. That's what we're meant to leave with. And pursuit of your passion and purpose not only makes you realize your worth and value, but that will pass down to somebody else. People seeing me do my work makes them feel good about their own. That's all we need. And this world would be a more peaceful planet, for sure. And we would be working together harmoniously the way we are meant to. There is I don't remember exactly which psalm it is, but in Psalm, I think it's 132 or 136, I always forget, right? That the psalm goes, and this is all paraphrased, I put you on the earth together to experience unity. Do you know what it's like to, yes, you do. You come to an event, you see a whole group of people together, they're sharing all of their wonderful experiences, the joys, everybody's leaving there so high, feeling so great, right? Then, of course, we wind up going back out into the world, and if they don't continue that feeling and keep putting the logs on the fire to keep the fire burning, they'll lose it with the mundaneness of life and all the stress that's around, and then nothing gets passed to each other. But unity is our greatest gift. But it cannot start without the individual. And the individual beginning to know his or her passion and purpose goes in that direction of not only self-healing, but world healing. That's where we would be.
Are you looking to begin your life of passion and purpose? We are waiting for you with our groups of 8 to 12. These loving teams are formed to look over our success data to find the fastest and funnest and most direct way for you to find your purpose and calling in life. To find out more, go to holomovement.net/purpose.